love it.
I mean, it could have been anyone. There was like a few matches to choose from. There was a pretty wide selection.
You just managed to specifically choose blue-white control.
It was convenient. But looks like we have the turn 1 SRAM off of Simian Spirit Guide and a Seachrome Coast.
Yeah, on my turn. Before you
And it's definitely Narset OP here was the note from our stream runner, and I would agree. That is for sure. And he has 2 and 2 dampening spheres, so.
Interesting.
Okay. I can't remember the last time I played against Cheerios.
I don't actually think I've played against it before, to be honest with you. I've watched it plenty, but oh.
There's, okay, so we're Pure Steel Paladin.
Alright, we got Storm Count 1. Are we actually going to start doing stuff, or are we just going to... Okay. Get another turn. Here we go. Do have another path, so we're not dead yet.
Yeah, it's definitely premium. This was getting pretty threatening on that side of the board.
It's strange how...
Ooh, engineer explosives on 0.
That would be super spicy.
Surprisingly potent. Yeah, the problem with surgical and blue-white is that most of your removal, as it turns out, exiles.
Yeah, it does. Kind of eliminates your ability to gut their win condition if you can't get it into the graveyard.
Yeah, I say you just kind of entirely rely upon your counter spells to do most of that heavy lifting.
So yeah, the engineered explosives on 0 is quite the...
Is that... I really hope so. Is that a paradoxical outcome? The front of his hand there.
I think it is.
So I gotta say, after playing Vintage for about, sorry, it wasn't even really a year, like probably 3/4 a year. Paradoxical Outcome, probably one of my favorite draw spells in the game.
To be honest, I have never played a single moment in Vintage to know why it's good in that format.
It's a very powerful format, let me tell you. But what's very interesting is that it feels like every deck is relatively fair, -2. There are 2 very strong outliers, but the rest of them feel pretty comparable to one another. Oh, we finally did get a target for the surgical, and we're just going to take out all of the retracts here. That seems pretty good.
Multiple outcomes.
Our Cheerios player is trying to, of course, get the maximum amount of card draw he can at the moment, knowing that he really can't cast too much more into an explosives that's going to cost him everything that he decides to put out. So,
yeah, I'll say being able to respond. Well, no, he has to cast outcome to try and gain any more value, and then just having it be blown out by an explosive seems rather unfortunate right now. He does have, is that Ether Grid? Looks like a gear for Ether Grid there.
I mean, this is a good hand if it wasn't for EE on 0.
Yep.
Because now it's like how much value does he want to put out there, especially now that Patrick at any time can essentially wipe out his board, or his present win condition as well.
Yep.
Did he have Snapcaster? I saw the Narset in his hand, but I didn't see anything else very well.
Does Narset take 2 blue?
Yes, it's 1 blue. So we have a couple Narsets in there and a Snapcaster.
Yeah, he can only snap path at the moment. He's not on. He doesn't have 2 blue. Yeah, I would agree that he's gonna probably hold off on using the engineered explosives as he can, so he can field a ruin.
Are you talking about the Rugged Prairie? Looks like a Rugged Prairie, perhaps, on the Evan. Yeah, okay. Evan side of the field there.
So yeah, here's the Field of Ruin so that he can actually fix his own mana. He's going to hit the Rugged Prairie. And now Patrick is able to actually cast the spells in his hand.
Yeah, I think this turn, just knowing what... no. No. Yeah, actually, I think just knowing what Evan has in his hands right now, just firing off a Narset is going to be pretty difficult to deal with.
Yeah, unless that hidden card is a relevant counter spell, which I don't know if that's something that Evan runs or not, but
I don't really remember, to be honest with you. Yep.
here comes Narset, because why not in this case?
Yeah.
And it looks like it resolves there.
Yep. Ooh,
That's going to be rough.
that is rough. What
And I don't think you actually minus here. I think you just let it go.
Go ahead.
Yep. Make them work as hard as they possibly can to get that Narset off the field, and then you have another one in your hand already, so... Oh, this is going to be rough.
So he's looking at Ether Grid in his hand, and he's thinking to himself, I'm going to cast this, I'm going to attack into Narset, I'm going to tap these artifacts, and do the damage to remove it. I think this...
it brings her to 1, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, because it got the +1/+0, and it'll be able to deal 1 damage with Ether Grid.
Yeah, and then 1 damage from the other. So it's
And
working
now,
it.
I think we just hold up Snap Path here, and there's not really a whole lot else that's going to be able to happen for a little bit. Say they can Ether Grid the Narset, but that doesn't really matter a whole lot. Oh, that's interesting. Guess we were hoping to draw a land there, perhaps. Did get a Damping Sphere, though.
And I think we're...
Problem about the Damping Sphere is that it turns off our Snapcaster with our current mana base.
That's true. I think he was thinking about casting it, maybe considered that he's cutting his own options off. He's moderate stuck on land like he is now. So he's gonna if he passes and Evan untaps, that's the end of Narset, but I guess he's okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just going to be the end of Narset, but you still have the Engineer to open now, so if he plays anything else into it, you can just take everything out with him. But I'm not sure... Oh, yeah, we're getting a...
Yep.
Oh, so here's going to be the problem. He can respond with the Paradoxical Outcome, which, with the right cards in hand, might still just end up killing Patrick. Because it looks like he might have a couple more Cheerios in hand, so he could just start casting them now, and okay. I really wish I could see those last 3 cards. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case this turn, though. We did get another land.
Hey, made it. So right now, Patrick's got options as far as what he wants to do. He's got Snapcaster Mages. He can path the only threat on the table.
Interesting.
So we're going for Damping Sphere.
So we're going to cast Damping Sphere and hold up Explosives. Very interesting. Well, yeah, that actually is pretty strong, because no matter what, the Paradoxical Outcome can't actually do that much right now. Which, as much as I like the card, it's unfortunate, but it is rather good for blue-white control here. I've grown rather attached to Paradoxical Outcome as a result of having played Paradox Storm for a while.
It's definitely interesting to watch games of Vintage. Last Eternal Weekend, I watched some tournament that was going on that, you know, nothing quite like watching enough Magic cards in play that could pay for a house.
Oh, certainly.
Storm with a whole bunch of cards that have 0 written on them always feels a little unfair.
Yeah, I'll say it was definitely my favorite deck at the time. I'll say you have the Perfect Storm and the Paradox Storm lists available to you in Vintage, and they're both extremely fun for different reasons.
That's a hard-casted Simian Spirit Guide.
Looks like we might be trying to assemble just a value equipment beats. I guess Is what we're going for with this?
Not exactly sure. Here's the attack and the decision point for Patrick when he wants to pop this. And explosives or not, which it looks like he's going to finally do. I think maybe that was the point, is that he needs that explosives gone off the field.
Okay, so I think this turn we're going to end up doing the snap path, since we're going to be able to pay for both through the damping sphere,
Correct.
which will be able to remove both the SRAM and the Simian Spirit Guide, and probably just follow it up with a Narset the next turn. I think we'll be sitting pretty comfortably again.
Looks like it's going to be exactly that. There's the path. I think Spirit Guide is still out there because not much else to do, but it's got a good blocker for it.
We do have another SRAM in hand. Looks like that's going to be brought down here. Oh, and it looks like we have a SRAM and a Pure Steel Paladin. The Paladin does need one more mana to be paid for it. Because of the damping sphere.
He's gotten an untapped land. He can't do so. There it is.
Okay.
He did it. The judge within Scott, I could see it rising. I could see it rising through his forehead, like that judge vein that all judges have. And when
Yeah.
they see the rules of Magic being violated, it just starts to pulse slightly. All right, so once again, Pure Steel Paladin does not make it to untap.
Another Grey Ogre. Can't
All right,
beat
there's
this.
another Simian Spirit Guide.
Yep.
Untap.
So we are on the cast Simian Spirit Guide plan.
Looks like we have. Is that a Teferi Hero in hand? Oh, I certainly
Fairy.
think it is.
It is.
I'd like you to
Ooh,
put this Grey
that's
Ogre-
strong.
And we are tucking
It
the
goes third
Spirit
from the top.
Guide.
So 2 then 8.
Very interesting.
Well, it is a dead draw. I mean, he's hard casting. He has no other use for it.
Sure.
I don't know if I can beat
He's
the
got a
Grid.
Snapcaster Mage that as a blocker, so he's not concerned with it dying.
Mm-hmm.
He's cornering Evan in,
It looks
in
like-
an effective fashion.
Wow, I think Evan has 3 paradoxical outcomes in hand right now. The one we know of and I think the back to 2 cards are paradoxes. And if that's the case, that is very unfortunate. That is not a good card to have multiples of when you have no artifacts on the field. Comes Narsa.
It's looking grim here. This is the slow dread starts to creep over your face as you see the board state get away from you like this.
Uh-huh.
I can see Sky getting excited right now. I saw the smile come across his face. It's a real shame that we didn't have the camera on in that moment. It was just this joy. You know, it was like the Grinch getting that smile as he realizes he's about to spoil Christmas for all of Whoville. You know, and that's just it. Like the creeping dread that comes with, like, here's my Planeswalkers, here's my slow but steady card advantage. I'm cornering your game plan.
No, I think Evan has plenty of things he could do
Was it
here.
Grey Ogre?
Like, he's still got, you know, a Simian
Spirit Guide,
Guides.
yeah, it's
That's
free
good.
mana too. You got them
No,
Grey
it's not.
Ogres, man,
So this
gonna
is
come in.
also a Grey Ogre.
Gonna do it. That's the clear answer here.
Block.
So he's gonna finally just get the trade with the
Oh.
Snapcaster, but it is giving up that you just now told your opponent, I have no artifacts. Like, I'm not even gonna try and get value out of this key card allows me draw. I'm just gonna trade because I have no option but to do so that I can get to your Narset.
Dovin's veto here off the Narset.
Nothing quite like a card that says counter the things you do cannot be countered.
Yep. That is
So it only looks at
this is a pretty rough spot.
or it looks at
I like how you're attempting to hide your joy as the creeping shackles are placed upon Evan and he is led away to the special hell that awaits everyone that has to play against blue white control as they watch victory slip through their fingers.
Go ahead.
I have no response to this.
I will decline.
On the grounds you may be incriminated.
All right, so
Snapcaster Beats. Yeah. Whew. All right. Or not Snapcaster Beats. Simian Spirit Guide Beats.
all right, here we go. Got another monkey.
Gray ogre.
That is the third monkey, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
Doesn't have more red.
So this is a slow road to victory because this is going to be Teferi tick-ups,
Make him another mana with your gray ogre.
little by little, until he can ultimate. And then it's going to be slow, grind all of your permanents into ashes.
Yep.
Oh, that smile. It's beautiful.
I mean, wow. I'm trying to come up with, you know,
Why play one Teferi when you can play two? I think War of the Spark is modern viable. Guys, I think it had some rares that are... I think these
not even just rares.
rares and uncommons that are format impacting.
I will turn that.
I'll admit though, as awesome of a feeling as it is for just decks that get the opportunity to use powerful planeswalkers such as Teferi, Jace, or even Gideon not too long ago. I'm still not.
I can't
say I'm a huge fan
no clue which one.
of. This is back on the point I made about the legendary planeswalker thing earlier tonight. I don't know. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Actually,
Back
this
when
is
the
only non-standard legal
you remember
card.
how planeswalker uniqueness used to be?
Yeah, it used to be you only had one version of the Planeswalker.
You had one version of a planeswalker with that subtype.
Right, so you couldn't have you couldn't have multiple types of Jace. It had to be just one Planeswalker that had the Jace subtype. Yes, I understand how it used to work.
I say you've played longer than I have, but we both played modern and other formats to predate.
I mean, I was remember playing, you know, standard in the Innistrad era with the famous I have to play Geist of St. Draft in my green-white tokens deck so that I can blank my opponent's Geist of St. Draft. Like, so I was Bant tokens technically just. Not, I mean, it was a good card on its own, so I didn't mind playing it for that, but it was really to downside protection so that I could O-ring my opponent's Geist of St. Draft. And yeah, they've slowly expanded it. Now you can have two Teferis as long as they don't have the exact same name
End step.
on it.
Searing Vision.
Technically, I guess you could play three. There is another modern legal Teferi. It was the Planeswalker deck one from Dominaria.
I love doing
Yeah,
it.
that's right.
It's so much fun and so not relevant.
I believe Teferi as a planeswalker has been printed 4 times in total, 3 of which are modern legal.
Yes, one is Commander.
2 mana off combo.
For turn.
And the Commander one's Mono Blue,
This
isn't it?
Jason
Yes,
Mind
that's correct.
Sculptor.
Oh, you know what? Jace.
Why not?
You know, why not? This game's not over enough. Let's go ahead and just play Jace.
I mean, we're sitting here, we're having a good time. Like, you know,
We're having a good time. You know who isn't having a good time?
it's Patrick, isn't it?
It's Evan Reynolds, actually.
Oh, okay.
I will say that I don't understand why Evan doesn't scoop.
You know, it's the end of the night. Maybe he doesn't have anything else to do. He likes looking at his magic cards. I know I like looking at mine. You know,
I like looking at mine as well, but you know what I really hate looking at? 4 Planeswalkers staring at me, all of which might have as well be printed on it. Good luck.
well, you know, what Evan is waiting for here is clearly he plays one of mainboard Hour of Revelation.
He actually secretly has 2 black sources to play the Elder Spell. There you go.
He does play Mox Opal, and it looks like he has 2 other artifacts in play right now, so he's probably just sandbagging 2 Mox Opals right there, and he's just waiting to rip this Elder Spell right off the top and completely turn this game around.
There's there it is. Something.
Evan,
No, go ahead.
so Evan's a good sport, I think. You know,
He's letting Patrick win this game at his pace, at his speed.
I mean, you know, you do have to make your opponent win. Like, he's not shown any way to win the game. He's just sitting there with planeswalkers. Like, he's not got any clock on him. What's Evan really afraid of?
I imagine the cold uncertainty of death at this stage. I mean, this is just brutal.
Discard the stamping sphere. Go ahead.
Planeswalkers. Yeah, I don't. This card type wasn't a mistake at all.
No, it's in fact I think it's probably just weaker. Is it just me, or are the people talking really soft? Unfortunately,
Untap.
Obi-Wan Cannoli.
Draw.
It seemed as though we were having some audio
Play this
problems
land. Ultimate
this
this
evening,
year.
so we were talking as loud as we normally do, but unfortunately it just isn't quite transmitting at a relatively loud volume. So
Bounce
We've
my
had our
hand.
first ultimate. We've got Teferi ultimates.
Draw a card. Let's exile this
We've got
monster.
brainstorming happen from Jace.
sure.
This
Three,
is
put
you know,
these two back,
this ship has not
very
only
tricky.
sailed, it has returned from the New World laden in Spanish gold. It is very over.
He still has, look at that, he has 7 lands available
true.
to him. He could do anything still.
Shuffle your deck and put it
Except
back.
The world is his oyster.
Except
Animate
unfortunately,
the
deal with
colonnade,
planeswalkers. Oh, we finally got beats. We got colonnade beats. We are not content to win merely by exiling all of my opponent's permanents as I draw cards, which I will do forever.
I will
Now,
move to
I don't know, did I ever tell you about that particular Jund
discard
matchup up in Cleveland
path to X.
and exactly how it unfolded?
No, I'm afraid not. Tell me more.
Of course. Seems as though we got some time. So
At least 2 turns.
my Jund opponent,
That's a lot.
now we sit down.
You have a pure
I know
style.
nothing about what he's playing. We're going into the matchup completely blind. We're just making idle chatter. I'm mulliganing for the first 5 minutes, I think. I mulliganed down to 5, I think.
You did.
So it doesn't look good.
Right.
It's like, well, I kept the best hand I could and
I will
wasn't feeling amazing about it, but it was okay. Had some lands and spells, as you do.
Cast card
And I just
myself.
remember seeing him play Raging Ravine or something of the
Draw a
sort and just
card, exile your previous
feeling really good about myself.
Hey, I
Because
could've thought Seas Fin.
my recent matchup
I could've
history
thought
against
Seas
Jund
Fin.
has been
Uh,
unlosable.
so because this you can't draw an extra.
So I feel
card.
pretty solid at this
Activate
point.
on your turn.
And
Draw
about,
for turn.
I think, another 5 minutes or so,
that.
I've cast a Hieroglyphic Illumination and am fully back into the game.
Activate.
He doesn't
Activate.
really do
11.
anything terribly impactful.
Okay.
Well, looks like this match is done here.
Oh, thank Jesus. I'm very glad to see that Evan has finally